y'all, this is Marley K. Hope everybody is well. Sorry I've been slack on the stories lately. I've had internet issues, computer issues. A lot of stuff is going on in the world. So I'm encouraging you all to keep watch. Last night I tried to upload a video and I was having issues with Google. I couldn't watch YouTube videos and I couldn't upload in the middle of uploading something on YouTube. But if I used another YouTube product, Google product, I didn't have any issues. So I need y'all to understand that the internet probably going to be going down soon, or we're going to have a lot more problems. So don't become so reliant upon the internet that you can't survive or you just kind of feel lost. I think if you've been following this channel for a significant amount of time, like a lot of other channels that have been sounding the trumpets and shouting from the walls about what's coming, you know what's getting ready to go down. I don't know what's getting ready to come, what's going to happen around April 8th, before or after or during, but I anticipate something. It's too much fear mongering going on, too much confusion. And the adversary loves confusion. So I anticipate something is going to happen. But this period, spring, is a season for the evildoers to accelerate their agenda. And so we can anticipate probably from now going into the fall, it's going to be really rough for us. So again, y'all keep prepping, but wind it up, because it's getting ready to go down. So I want to give a shout out to Only Pamela's Way. She always sends me really good stories, and I just haven't had a chance to put them all together. But these two stories came out a couple of days apart. They're about guns, and we need to talk about this because in America, the Second Amendment is a big deal to patriots. It's a big deal to veterans. It's a big deal to those who are constitutionalists, people who love the Constitution. For African American Black people, because we were in chattel slavery and kept from possessing firearms for most of the time that we've been here, it's not really a big deal. That we do have people who carry and take advantage of the Second Amendment, but we also realize that at any moment, the Edomites, Esau and them, the children of the corn, will take away our rights anytime they feel threatened. So it's like they'll be stabbing you, and then they'll be turning around asking you why you screaming. And then they don't want you to have anything to defend yourself with or attack them. So that's kind of the thing that we are working with as African Americans when it comes to 2A. But these stories that I'm going to share with you today are important because they tie into the civil unrest that is coming. And certain populations are going to be armed, and certain populations are going to be disarmed. Now, I can't say what I want to say. The hood gonna be good, maybe. Um, Maybe. I doubt it though, because the hood is asleep. They're not gonna know what's coming into their communities. Um, but these two stories tie into the King Alfred's plan. You remember I was telling y'all, I didn't talk about it on this channel. You have to go over to Rumble and watch the video about King Alfred's plan, about what they plan to do when they declare a national emergency or whatever event occurs where they can start rounding up people. And it's going to be done regionally. It's broken up into nice sized chunks of country. And they're going to be collecting certain groups of folks, in particular African Americans. And they being y'all know who, Children of the Corn, Alphabet Boys. And in order to do that, they have to disarm us and keep us distracted. And that is what we are witnessing now. Just remember at the end of the Leave the World Behind movie, when Mahershala Ali was talking about the three ways that you disarm a nation that was, effective and cheap. You're going to cause civil unrest, and then you're going to just watch the chips fall. You're going to create the situations that cause the civil unrest. Then the civil unrest occurs. Then, we all are at each other's throat, and then the coup takes place. So that's what basically we're witnessing now. People are kind of paralyzed and don't really know what to do, and they're angry, at different people, different nation groups, and for us African Americans, they're putting these people in our communities, directly in our community. So we're going to be the first to experience the civil unrest. We're already experiencing it. That's why they send these people to New York and Chicago and to California and Black communities. Just wherever we are, they make sure they keep destabilized, because they cannot have a Black Messiah rise. They cannot have Black peace. We cannot have joy. We can't look like we're safer than everybody else. And that has been the goal since we've been here. And they're going to continue it until this thing falls apart. So we have to be wise as serpents and understand what's going on, and we have to be proactive instead of reactive. So these stories tie into the King Alfred's plan, and they also tie into the ending of the Leave the World Behind movie about how this country is going to fall. And it's orchestrated. So it's not like you don't know. They told you in a movie. So let's get it. All right, Illinois judge rules illegal migrants can carry guns. As a matter of fact, the judge was even a sister. So, when I first read it, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, I see the big picture. So you have to you have to put your legal mind on, and you got to be a little hood to get this one. So I'm going to read this story, and then I'm going to tell you my thoughts. You can eat the meat, spit out the bones. All right, so it says the case involves Mexican man charged with possessing guns. Judge rules migrants, which he ain't no migrant. He's an illegal entrant. So the judge rules that illegal entrants, because I'm not calling him a migrant, can bear arms under the Second Amendment. Decision sparks debate on constitutional rights. Who has rights? So it says a federal judge, oh my gosh, they kill me with these picture-in-picture things. A federal judge in Illinois earlier this month ruled that a Mexican man who was living in the U.S. illegally, so that means he's an illegal entrant, but they call him a migrant. So you see how they do the political ploys. If you don't understand the difference between a migrant and illegal entrant, I did a video on it, but this is the legal term, and this is why I use illegal entrant, because I want to talk about it from a legal perspective and how this country, was basically set up to do what it's doing now. And these loopholes are there for a reason. So it says that a Mexican man who was living in the U.S. illegally had a constitutional right to own a firearm for self-defense. So if he can own a firearm, he's an illegal entrant. He's a criminal, a federal criminal. And in states, he'd be a criminal, because states also have rights. So he'd be a criminal. So if this illegal entrant, a criminal, can own a firearm for self-defense, how would you buy a firearm if you didn't buy it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does this even happen? It doesn't matter. You can own a firearm if you're a criminal. That's basically what this law is saying. or this is what this decision says. And this is a federal judge, so it's going to go up to the Supreme Court probably. But I'm just filling in the blanks, is that there's a reason that they want to have illegal entrants on firearms for self-defense, because they're not going to have it for self-defense. They're going to have it for when they are robbing, stealing, and killing, because they allowed them to come over here and promise them stuff, and then now they're pulling the rug from under them, and they're not going to give them jobs. They're not going to give them no more food. They're not going to give them no more housing. They're putting these people on the street, especially the men. So if you're a family or a woman, they'll keep you together. They're giving you resources. They're putting you someplace. But if you are a man and you came here, they allow these men to come here. And then now they're saying, no, we don't have nothing for you. We're going to fly you to another city. These people are going to be all over the country criming. And I can't say that I blame them, because they came here at the government's behest, and they put them in communities where they were not wanted, and those communities are not set up to accommodate them. We don't have a refugee country. They have some refugee resettlement places across the country, but now the whole country is a refugee resettlement camp. And so they're going to put these people any place. They're going to fly them there and give them some money and be like, here, you're on your own. So what you think these people are going to do when their money is gone, when they don't have no place to stay? They're hungry, they're tired, and they're mad because they were sold a dream and then wake up to a nightmare. They'll take it out on Americans. They're already in the hood. And so the first dust ups will occur in the hood, and then it's going to spread. So, Jacob, y'all better wake up. In her ruling, U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman dismissed charges against Herberto Carbajal Flores, who was arrested in 2020 for violating a federal law that prohibits undocumented immigrants from possessing guns. Carbajal Flores contends that he received and used a handgun solely for self-protection and protection of property during a time of documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020. So how you get to come over here and you illegal, and then you talking about some civil unrest in the spring of 2020? Like, this don't even make no sense. Like, what you fighting about? What's the problem? What's happening? So, when you read the story, it's like, it don't even really make no sense. Why does he need a gun for self-protection? You're undocumented. How did you get a gun? And what civil unrest are you talking about? The Northern District of Illinois judge wrote in her ruling, the ruling sets up a potential Supreme Court case to determine the extent of Second Amendment rights for an estimated 11 million illegal entrants living in the United States. So that means if they pass this law, 11 million illegal entrants can have weapons and do damage to us. So if you think you have not been sold out, wake up. The High Court has issued a series of rulings over the past 15 years that have expanded gun rights. Congress would have to be a little bit more powerful here, because there's no question that the Constitution applies to people who are not here illegally, said Shanlin Wu, a former federal prosecutor, in a Tuesday interview on News Nation on Balance. The problem here is you need to draw the statute more narrowly. So see how everything is broad on purpose for such a time as this. So it says Johnson Coleman, an appointee of former President Barack Obama, cited the summer of 2020 when unrest and violence swept across Chicago and other U.S. cities amid protest over police brutality. Now, I'm not saying the Latino brothers don't be getting up their share of abuse, but you know, 2020 was about George Floyd. And the fact that cops were getting off of these police brutality cases. So, if you're living, I'm just gonna refrain from giving a scenario because it could possibly be where he experienced some um, hate. But my point is, where did you get a weapon? If you're not documented, you're a criminal. You don't have any of the tools needed to apply for a firearm permit. So how would you buy it unless you got it illegally? So, none of it makes sense except for we got the okie doke coming. So you better have a way to protect your own self. Court documents show Carbajal Flores fired his handgun at moving vehicles when he believed looters were approaching his neighborhood after police warned of potential threats. Oh, the police warned them of potential threats. He had no prior criminal record. Justice Clarence Thomas, in the court's majority opinion regarding one's gun rights case, emphasized that the Second Amendment's protections extend to individual conduct, creating a presumption that applies regardless of legal status. However, Wu suggested that Congress could clarify the law to explicitly prohibit migrants from possessing firearms. Wu pointed out the tension between federal and state laws, noting that disparate rulings could lead to further legal complexities. So states have one law, feds have one law. So the fed's going to be allowing these people to get off. So he got a federal gun charge, and so basically he has permission to carry. Now, my thoughts. The sister did black folks a favor because the majority of our men in our community can't possess firearms because they're criminals. Well, this guy's a legal entrant. He's a criminal. He's a federal criminal, and he could possess a firearm. So if this is the precedence, until it's not, brothers should possess firearms. Period. Y'all need to protect yourselves, and you need to protect your communities. You need to be watching with me and with other people and making sure that your communities are safe. Now, I ain't outside watching, but it's some brothers that's outside watching, and they got all kinds of criminal records, all kinds of things on their records that prevent them from possessing a firearm. Well, y'all need to get it together and get on one accord and understand what this ruling could mean for you. Criminals can possess firearms for self-defense, period. That's all I got to say about this particular story. But understand, this is where we are going. This is the uh, this we're moving forward into a period where they're laying the groundwork for civil unrest. It's happening slowly. It's happening through the law, legally, and most people are missing it. So I wanted to talk about it, and I'm thankful that Only Pamela's Way shared this story for me because it completely flew under the radar, under my radar. I didn't see it. I haven't really been focusing on this. Because there's just so much stuff to focus on. But this is something that we really need to pay attention to, how the courts are reversing so many rulings and challenges that they're just laying the groundwork for what's to come. So the other story that ties into this, now while they are arming illegal entrants, they are disarming veterans. So in this story that came out on, I think today, it's on AP. No, it came out on March 8th, I'm sorry. So it says spending bill would ease access to guns for some veterans declared mentally incapable. So you see how misleading this story is. So this says veterans whom the government declares incapable of managing their own affairs will have easier access to firearms under spending legislation, which is a reversal of current law that Republicans and even some Democrats have been pushing for. Those lawmakers say the law requiring the Department of Veterans Affairs to report veterans declared mentally incompetent to the National Background Check System punishes those who rely on the benefits from the agency and may need help managing their money. But gun control advocates say the law is an important tool in protecting against suicides by those who have served in the military. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat, said the change could result in thousands of mentally ill people having increased access to guns, a death sentence for many, he posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. The spending bill provision comes as gun control advocates have scored modest wins in recent years. Congress passed a sweeping law in 2022 that would expand some background checks for people under 21 and new mental health services and provide new mental health services for children in schools, among other measures. So here's the deal with this. This is the way I see it. So um, the Democrats uh, have been pushing for, gun laws that basically prevent people from getting access to guns. You want to take guns from veterans for suicide, but you just think about this. There are a lot of veterans who have PTSD because they have served in the military, they went to war. They're not going to harm themselves, but they do have some. They suffer from depression. Some of them have flashbacks of things that they had to do on behalf of the government. Um, they suffer from harassment in the military by their peers and by their superiors. So there are a lot of situations where um, veterans who have mental issues could be declared mentally incompetent. And the government could just come and say at any point, anybody who has a mental illness can't possess a firearm if you're a veteran. That means everybody who gets a check from the Veterans Affairs, your records come into play. Whatever's on your DD 214 comes into play. Um, your medical records, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can't possess a firearm. Well, who would be the people who would know how to use a firearm? If you wanted to disarm a population first, you're going to disarm all the people who have served in the military, who have military training. Um, so that would be, a lot of people, older people, young people, middle-aged people. There are a lot of people who did multiple tours in the military um, for war overseas, and then they come back home. They have PTSD. They may take medication. They may get counseling. All that could be used against them eventually. And in my opinion, the fact that it's coming up in this particular uh, story and at this particular time, you have one instance where they're arming illegal entrants, but then you're wanted to disarm veterans because you're worried about them committing suicide. So like make it make sense. But at the end of the day, you want to take the guns from American citizens, patriots, people who have served their country, did their time, and because of what they've done, they may have suffered some mental health issues, but they still desire the right to carry firearms or possess firearms or buy firearms. You're going to take that from them and then give that right to people who just cross the border, who come here illegally. So you see how we've been set up? We're being set up. It's a setup. So if you are a veteran and you get some type of disability for mental health issues, it could be depression or whatever, like I would keep an eye out on this, because one of the things about the King Alfred plan is they were talking about collecting Black folks who have military experience. They're going to be some of the first people that's collected. And so there's a reason that they want to disarm you. And we all know people who have um, um, mental mental health disability from the VA, but ain't nothing wrong with them. Like I know several people who have a disability rating. Sometimes it's 100%. They're dealing with mental health issues because of stress, because of whatever, and it might have been for a short period of time, but they receive um, military compensation. So they receive Social Security, disability, and they receive a pension from the VA. So those would be the types of people that could possibly be impacted by this. And I would not be surprised if they say, if you have a mental illness, if you have anything in your medical records that demonstrate you have some type of mental incompetency, or if you've dealt with mental illness, you're a threat. But you're only a threat because you know how to use your weapon. You've trained to use a weapon. You're not a threat because you're mentally ill. They don't care about you. If you could go to work and you crazy, they don't care about that because they're getting your money. But if you have been declared mentally incompetent, you receive any types of benefits from the government, then you're in their database. So they really have some leverage to, push to take away your right to possess firearms. So I would pay attention to this. Um, Even though they signed it, I wouldn't trust it. Um, the flip side of this too is that they possibly know that I honestly don't think there are that many veterans out here who are so mentally unstable they cannot possess a firearm. Now I'm not saying there aren't any, but I just this whole issue about veterans possessing firearms, it's like, why you don't take it from them now? When they were killing on your behalf and walking around securing stuff for you, you didn't have an issue with it, but as soon as you come home, you want to take it from them. Just it just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I just want to do a comparison to show you how they want to disarm citizens and arm illegal entrants. And that's the gist of it. It's just that simple. Just that simple. How do you know the mental state of an illegal entrant? You don't. We don't know if those people killed bunches of folks when they were at home. We don't know anything about them, but you'll give them the right to carry firearms to protect themselves, which I believe every person should have the right to defend themselves. Period. Um, but the reason that they had all these strict gun laws before was because they wanted to keep us African American Black folks from getting them. Now they got illegal entrants able to get them, and nobody's saying anything. But one day we all gonna wake up, and it's gonna be too late. So keep an eye out on these gun control stories, because they are a huge deal, and it's just going to show you how corrupt our government is now. Like, it is just, it's turned on the people. We don't have an advocate for us anymore. We don't have anybody fighting for our rights, and you are on your own. These people were put in place for this particular time. All these judges, all these rulings, all these president leaders. This is, you're watching a movie. Everything is orchestrated. So we're just watching the slow, continual demise of an empire. And this is how it's done. This is how it's always done. It's nothing new. They're not doing anything new. You can read how all these other nations that were powerful fell. Same thing. Nothing new. Esau don't have no new tricks. So they're slowly taking apart all the institutions, all the culture, all of the laws that we've had for centuries. They've had a saying they have had, and we have to pay attention. We African American Black people, because we are always the targets. We know why we are the targets. Um, and the goal is to make sure we are uncomfortable here as possible as they push us out. So if you are trying to be comfortable, you ain't going to be comfortable. If you think you're safe today, you might be safe today, but eventually your time is coming. So you're going to have to figure out a plan on how to keep your family safe. And there's no sense in thinking nothing is going to happen to you, because these people are going to be all over the country, hungry, tired, homeless, angry, dirty. They're going to want to bathe. They're single. They're going to be looking for sex, legally or illegally, taken by force, or through relationships with some probably seedy people. Lots of things going to be happening. Lots of exchanges going to be happening. You're going to be seeing lots of things. Communities are already changing. I'm seeing more and more Hispanics everywhere, even in our little rural community. It's like, where are these people coming from? We don't have that many farms around here. Like, what they doing? But they're working in these manufacturing plants, these meat processing plants, these just manufacturing. Period. Wherever there is manufacturing, those people have replaced Black people and white people too. But white people tolerated it, and they didn't care because it wasn't impacting them. And now it is. And unfortunately, it's too late, like it always is for the Gentiles. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Please make sure you are still subscribed. I noticed that YouTube is unsubscribing people again, so there's that. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, Instagram, and Facebook. In the event that Google takes my page down or they block me from uploading, I do not have another backup channel on YouTube. I will be on Rumble. So if you want to continue to get content from me, you'd have to subscribe to the Rumble page. All of the content on YouTube is backed up on Rumble and Odyssey. If you'd like to support the channel, support my work, links for Venmo and coffee are in the description. I thank you if you've already contributed before, and just understand this is a labor of love. I don't have any sponsors. My channel is not monetized, and I don't sell anything because I don't have time. Lastly, keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High daily. Repent for your sins of commission and sins of omission. It is a time for fasting and praying, so we need to fast and pray continually for our people, for this world, for this awakening, for whatever is to come, because we know that terrible times are coming to our people, those who are asleep, and even some of us who are awakened. We got to try to make it past the sword, and we got to try to endure to the end. So let us keep watch. Let us pray. Let us fast. Keep those laws, statutes, and commandments. Keep the Sabbath. And just understand that we're not going back to the way things used to be. Nothing, however things were before 2020, it's just not going back to that. It's only going downhill. So get ready. Pay attention to the courts, because there are a lot of cases going through the courts. I brought you the one the other day about the Sunday and Sabbath, how they are confusing Sunday and Sabbath. It's intentional, so we can go to work-free Sundays. That is your mark. Lots of things happening all over the place, and it looks like the time for persecution is near. So gird your loins and get ready. We are going into some very troubling times, and I'm sure none of us anticipated we would be here, but we are here, so we must do what we gotta do to endure to the end. All right, y'all, this is Marla K. Love y'all, and I'm out.